us about the demographics in your community and how they are learning in an educational system that was not set up and designed for them to succeed.
Okay, wow. So the way that the educational system is set up, it's set up through rules, laws of the legislators. So just for current day, in 2021, the way that our system is set up, it is a very standard educational system, right, where depending on zip code, like regardless of where you're living, you may experience a different educational experience. You have, I know in Little Rock, Arkansas, then we are in a transition of education, really trying to transform the way that education is delivered. Going to, right now, the push is more K-8 models. Okay. And then looking at giving school buildings a focus, whether it's STEAM, whether it's arts, whether it's college preparatory. However, even within our 42 buildings that we have within our district, children are still experiencing a different level of education or a different level of experience, more so than children possibly on the other side of town. And I just think that goes to a Madrid of issues, particularly being that Little Rock, Arkansas was the catalyst site, right, for Brown versus the Board of Education. And so we're always leaning in, and I know personally those 9 stars that represent the Little Rock 9 right around our logo, that means something dear to me. Okay. Because those 9 students did something for them at the time. It was just, they are going to the beautiful school, the big school. I don't think any one of the 9 thought that it would be a historic moment, the way that it unfolded and everything that they went through. So education is forever changing. And that's why I believe that school board members, in the school board as a whole, we have a task, an important task, to make sure we are writing policies and looking at curriculum that will speak right to the whole child. Right. So, so education at this point, it's forever changing, and we need to make sure that we are addressing not only the social needs that are needed, as well as the mental health aspect of it, but the academic piece of that. However, we also know that because of poverty, that plays a major role right in a person's experience, what type of schools they go to, what type of resources they have in those schools. Right. So, and so like we still have a lot of work to do in the midst of the steps that are being taken. Okay. Tell us about the demographics in your community. Yeah, so so Little Rock, Arkansas is it is largely African American. We have a large Latinx community, and then of course we have the white population. We have a bit of a growing Asian pop there. We have a large African population and Jewish population there. The demographics of Arkansas, of Little Rock, we have just over 200,000 people that are in our city. Okay. So it is primarily a black and white city. And then we have the influence of the Latinx, which is a strong growing population within Little Rock. Okay. How do you curtail your curriculum to meet the needs of your black and brown students? Yeah, so that is something that's ongoing, right? Because I think because of the space that we're in, being in Arkansas, and the legislator, how they will write laws to say we can't, certain things can't be in the curriculum. It got to be this way.
Right.
However, that is where a school board is able to come in and say, okay, well, this is the rules of what the state is saying, and but then what and how can we craft curriculum, right, to show representation of our Black, Brown, Latinx, indigenous people. How can we show BIPOC people, people of color, other than a servitude way? So and so it's really going to take creativity, right, to begin to show representation, right, in different forms within our curriculum, to where our children are able to truly see that we are more than slaves. We are more than sharecroppers. We are more than domestic help, and so and so it will take Black and brown scholars coming together to create that.
Okay, you talked about this ladder that you want the students to climb up in your community. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so with that, it's really important to make sure that we are providing opportunities for our students. And what I mean by that is beyond the paper. We have to do it in practice. We have to make sure that we are giving our students the opportunities and the exposure they need to be able to go down the path that they want to go down, or even just to see that. Because oftentimes, whether you're in poor communities or you're in Black or brown communities, we only know our world is only what we see. And so if the more and more we're able to a youth group I had, it was a girl empowerment group. I had a young lady who says, I want to be an oceanographer. We're in Little Rock, Arkansas. We're in Little Rock. But then because of networks I have throughout the United States, then I was able to say, okay, well then let me find look into my resources and see who do I have in a network that is in that field.
Right.
That young lady was blown away that I came back with someone that she could talk to. There was someone else that talked about wanting to be more, they wanted to be in the industry of arts, but then they didn't want to be a talent, but they thought that was the only way they can go.
Okay.
That is one of the things that, with Little Rock, Arkansas, we are looking at the Ford NGL model. And with the Ford NGL framework, it's really a framework, we are looking at the arts and looking at the technical side of arts. And so the production, the producer, the lights, camera, and so running those things that make this, what we're doing, possible, which are the people who stay employed year-round,
Right.
So helping children see themselves through a different lens is truly important, because then we are either, a school system does one or two things.
Okay.
It either sets you up on a trajectory of obstacles and leading and continuing this generational poverty cycle.
Okay.
Or it could set you up on success, to where you can go into higher ed, you can go into a technical career. You can figure out what entrepreneurship is about. But whatever the case may be, we are the hub. A child spends most of their life in school.
Right.
K through 12. This pandemic was brutal, not only on us as adults, but on our children. We was already dealing with social, emotional issues, mental health issues. Our children was dealing with that. But there was already an opportunity gap. There was already an achievement gap. There was already so many gaps going on. The only thing COVID did was stop us all.
Right.
Said, this is what y'all got, and here I am. I'm up in the mix, and then it's COVID have forced us to either deal with it, cover it up, or else truly work to deal with the root cause of our youth social anxiety. Dealing with toxic relationships.
Right.
I did a youth summit a few months ago.
Okay.
Our youth are asking, what do I do after high school? Ms. Vicki, what am I supposed to do? What resources are there?
Right.
Everybody's talking at us. Nobody's listening to us. And for me to be an elected official and also the board president of Little Rock School District, for me to be on the ground, that's the best place I can be among families, among students, to where when I'm sitting on that dais, and then when policy comes that is not related to the classroom, it's not adult issues, then I'm able to reach back out right to my student council, my advisors to me, my students, and say, hey, this is what's coming down the pike. What do you think about that? What do you looking at this policy? Have you began to look at policy?
Right.
Do you even know what this means? Have you looked at your student handbook?
Right.
And what that does is, first, after we get through the awkwardness of it, right? Because now I'm saying, hey, you're saying the adults are not listening to you. I'm here, I'm asking you, what do you think? Now that have shifted their mindset to where they now see themselves a part of the education system instead of something they have to get up in the morning, get dressed. Like, I go in here, I got to deal with people that I really don't fool with. I'm going to be a robot.
Right.
And I'm going to check these things off. I'm really not, in some cases, as students were saying, I'm really not learning. I'm just going through the emotions of it. I'm going through the motions of all this. And so right when we're able to truly bring students to the table from all GPA levels, then we will start to see a shift in education. We will start to see more in student engagement, because student engagement is really about student experience. And then who provides that experience? It's the adults in the building. And if we just sit in our positions and we're just a title without the work, without creating authentic relationships beyond the executive or the who's who level,
right? But
coming down to our students and our families level. And then for me, for Vick Hatter, that is a disservice, because I can't make policies to advance you, to provide you opportunities, and then right if I don't see you, and right if I don't understand you, and then if I'm not talking to you. So we need to talk to our families, our students, as well as our educators, because our educators are in the front. They're in the classrooms.
Right.
And then that's a whole nother conversation, talking about that whole paradigm shift.
Right.
So I make sure that, like, we are not just using our Black and brown people as a ways to a means or an end. Yes. But truly giving them the opportunity and the exposure they need for advancement, and to close the achievement and the opportunity gap.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you, Ms. Vicky Hatter, for joining us today and talking to us more about Little Rock School District and what it means to be a board president and what it means to be very transparent and approachable to your students and to the parents and to the community. And so thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for...
and tell our listeners where they can find you if they want to, to get in contact with you.
Okay. Yes, and so you can find me on Twitter at Vicky Hatter, or you can find me on Instagram at the Vicky Hatter, and I am on Facebook, but the best way to contact me is info at Vicky Hatter, VICKIHATTER.com. That is my email address, but definitely on Twitter, Vicky Hatter, and then on Instagram at Vicky Hatter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Vicky Hatter. Thank you for listening. I'm Alexis Flowers with issuesineducation.net.